I am back with another video. This video, I guess, is going to be a bit different. I find that a lot of the times I put a lot of pressure on myself. I can be pretty hard on myself. I can be overly ambitious. So I like to do a lot of things every single day. I like to keep myself busy. I add a lot of things to my schedule. And not to say that it's bad to be, you know, busy or overly ambitious, but it's just for me in my life and the time that I'm at right now, it's just not helpful. I experienced a burnout earlier this year and that was not good. That was my first experience with experiencing a burnout, and I didn't even know that it was happening while it was happening up until I got through it. And then later I found a post somewhere that said like the symptoms or signs of a burnout, and every single sign was what I was experiencing. And it was just so funny because at the time, like, I had no idea. I'm learning to basically just be without having a million things to do. So today I'm gonna put that in practice.
Oh, it's cold.
It is cold.
Ready to crack this shit open though? The light in the morning enriches favorably. I am on ice though. No hot pours. Ooh. I am rotten within anger, which I mistook for a sickness. Now impeccably cured, I wish I never tasted you.
So it is currently 8 a.m. It's pretty hot in here. Let me take off my jacket. Currently at my favorite cafe by my house, and I'm here really early. So I got a good spot in here and I'm really happy about that. I love the cozy feeling of a cafe. I'm gonna get myself some tea. I got some peppermint tea. I'm not too big on peppermint tea actually. Not that I don't like it, I just don't drink it as often. But I know it's really good. Lately I kind of been in this mood where it's been kind of hard to formulate what's going on with me and my thoughts and my mind and all that good stuff. Right now I just kind of been focusing on my creative expression, so not necessarily like being super articulate. So I'm focusing on my creative expression, which is just like showing how I feel instead of saying how I feel. I feel like in those instances when that happens, I feel like when people don't find the words to express themselves, they usually create. I'm learning how to be with myself and not equate myself or my self-worth to my productivity. And that has been very hard for me because I never realized how much it took over me until I feel depleted where I'm like, oh god, like I don't even have the energy to get up right now. And I feel like instead of already starting to equate that towards like, oh, you know, I'm probably feeling depressed, or like, you know, maybe I'm sad, or like, you know, all these low feelings, that it's not wrong to be in that state or those spaces, but I think that it's also about learning yourself in those moments and learning how, like, before you even feel depleted, you know, how can we prevent those moments? God. A challenge of mine has been learning to just exist. And I know that sounds funny or probably silly because I'm already existing. I know we hear a lot about that floating around on social media and stuff, like slowing down or taking it slow and all these things. And I always thought of that life or that attitude coming afterwards, like coming after I accomplished all my goals and dreams, where I can finally relax. I never really considered like taking that time. Now I realized that I was doing a lot of stuff that I thought was good for me. I would jam pack my schedule with like do yoga and do this and like work on this and this and this and this, and I'm like working towards things, but I found that I was depleted of energy still. The things that I thought that I was doing that would help me or boost my mood or make me feel better right now are not. Before I realized this, I was thinking like, well, how does that make sense? Like all these things are supposed to make me feel better, but in the process of doing so, it doesn't. And I think that just comes from where you're coming from. Like, what's the space that you're coming from? If you are already feeling depleted, most of these things or activities are probably not going to make you feel any better. So once I realized that all the things that I was doing was probably not helping me right now, I had to realize, okay, where am I right now? Like, where am I working from? Like, what's the state that I'm in? I realized that I'm just not in the most productive state. I saw my burnout or whatever I was going through as like a nuisance. Like, I was just like, oh my God, like I can't wait till I feel better so I can go and do the things that I normally do. And I think that in itself already says a lot about me. It's just not good to push yourself, regardless of what you're feeling. Sometimes it can work, sometimes you're like, oh, like I'm just gonna get through it. And that was always my mindset. I always overrode like what I was feeling just to get something done. And right now I'm in a space where I'm trying to look more into my feelings and lean more into how I'm actually feeling, like more, I guess, into my body as my logical thinking mind, because being in your head a lot of the times, it can overrule you and it can overpower you, to be honest. Like, always being logical and thinking your way out of things, you would think that your head is what supersedes everything, when it's like you actually also have your body is also aware of your surroundings, and it also is sending you messages by what you're feeling. And if you're not listening to what you're feeling, you're like kind of ignoring a part of yourself. You're kind of like just like living in a floating head, and your body is just like somewhere else. So I guess it's about learning how to like live with both. Also been learning about feminine and masculine energy, and before I didn't really have a grasp on it, but now I have a grasp on it, because now I really understand a lot more of how we operate in those energies. Like how I feel when I lean towards one compared to the other. A lot of people say that, we live more in a masculine world or masculine energy, where we're constantly doing something and striving towards something and reaching towards goals and completing things. And I realize as myself, I always live in that state. I'm always like, do what's next. It's not bad to have that aspect within yourself, but I realize that if you lean more towards the other, then the other one is sort of neglected. So now I'm learning how to sit with myself and not constantly reach towards something. And that's a very interesting place for me to be in, because I never explored that part of myself.